Hello and welcome to the Asian game here on day two of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. I'm back in Adelaide. I've come down to illuminate a Winter Lights Festival here in Adelaide. As you can see, a lot of the buildings here along North Terrace in Adelaide illuminated in various different colours for a very colourful light festival. Ends this weekend as it is. But as I said, it's day two of the FIFA Women's World Cup here. And of course, our coverage is sponsored by our good friends at SMC. Quick recap of the results today. The opening game here in Melbourne today saw a 0-0 draw between Nigeria and the Olympic champions Canada. The game that we had most focus on was across in Dunedin, and we'll cross to Ryan Fenix shortly for his report. But unfortunately, the Philippines suffered a 2-0 loss at the hands of Switzerland there. And the final game of the day in Wellington saw Spain defeat Costa Rica 3-0. But it is in Dunedin, as I said, where our focus was today. The Philippines, their historic debut at a World Cup, men's or women's, put in a pretty impressive first half performance. They had a goal disallowed, was ruled out for offside, correctly ruled out for offside, it has to be said. Thought they'd taken the lead. A very impressive first half performance. Switzerland got a interesting penalty, let's just put it that way, on the stroke of half-time. A lot of conjecture about that one as to whether it was in fact a penalty or not, but it was awarded to Switzerland. They converted the penalty, took a 1-0 lead into half-time and controlled the game in the second half. But don't just take my word for it. As I said, our man on the ground, Ryan Fenix, was in Dunedin. If he hasn't frozen to death, it's cold here. I can only imagine what it was like in Dunedin. So here's his report after full time as the Philippines lost 2-0 today.
And so the first ever World Cup game for the Philippines ends in a 2-0 defeat to Switzerland. You'd say in the balance of 90 minutes that Switzerland deserved to win. Philippines, I thought, in the first 20 minutes, I thought we really played toe-to-toe with Switzerland, and we bucked the emotion of playing in a first ever World Cup game. The tears coming from many people's eyes, including mine, I'm not ashamed to say, when the national anthem was sung. And I'm sure for the players, the emotion was just really immense and intense as well. And they were able to, buck that and perform well. First 15-20 minutes, I thought they played toe-to-toe with Switzerland. Switzerland, of course, being the much higher-ranked team. And as they say in many things, the cream rises to the top. And by the 25th minute onwards, you felt like Switzerland was really on the ascendancy. They were dominating the ball. They were putting crosses in. And I think when the goal came in the 44th minute, they really deserved that goal. It was a penalty. And the balance of things, maybe 1-0 at the half was just about right. But Coach Alan Stajic in the post-match press con, he said, Katrina Guiu, our winger, had a chance early on. She was offside, but the ball went in. And the section where I was at, the Philippine section, just erupted in joy, thinking it was a goal, but it was unfortunately not meant to be. By the second half, Switzerland came out on fire. I'm sure they saw what New Zealand did yesterday, and they just wanted to make sure that there was no doubt in the outcome of this game. For the Philippines, though, a lot of positives to take, not least because we played toe-to-toe with Switzerland. We had standout performers. Angie Beard, I thought, was a standout performer. She was a late addition to the team, but she really showed her quality. She played center of defense, she played right back, and whenever she had the ball, she was just so composed and trying to defend that team. But against Switzerland, but end of the day, I think the quality of Switzerland just really showed why they're the much higher ranked team. Now for the Philippines going forward, it's a crunch match now against New Zealand. We have to go and get the full 3 points if you want to get something out of the group and get out of the group. Of course, it's easier said than done. But to do that, I think we have to create a lot more chances than today. The nerves probably will dissipate a little bit now. We played our second game, but I think again, hope springs eternal, and all the best, I think, for the Philippines against New Zealand in Wellington.
Yeah, as I said, a disappointing result there. And thanks for Ryan for that report. Hopefully he can get back to his hotel room and warm up and get some warmth back into his body. It's cold again here in Adelaide today. These Winter World Cups, I don't know, take me back to Qatar where there's a little bit of sun, but as you can see, I've got the jacket and the scarf on tonight. It's cold again here in Adelaide tonight, but enough about me complaining about the weather here. The focus, of course, from this side of the ditch is very much on Australia's 1-0 win last night and the injury still sustained to Sam Kerr and how long that's going to keep her sidelined. One of the other stars of the Matildas team is Ellie Carpenter, and she spoke today a little bit earlier, and here's a little bit of what she had to say.
Ellie, the morning after the night before, how are you feeling and how's the team feeling?
Yeah, feeling really good. I think we're all very excited to get the 3 points. That's what we prepared the last 5 weeks for, was to get the 3 points in this game. We knew it was going to be physical, but I'm really proud of the girls and also keeping a clean sheet.
The whole focus leading in was about the Ireland game. How was the game in actuality?
Yeah, it was a bit of a roller coaster. I think it wasn't the prettiest game of football, but we knew that coming into this game. Ireland are very physical. We knew it was going to be very end-to-end, transitional, and we knew it was all about one moment, and Steph stepping up, very brave. I knew she was going to get that penalty. So yeah, sometimes you just have to win. It doesn't have to be pretty, and yeah, on to the next.
It's Australia's first win in the opening match of a World Cup since 2007. How important is it to get off to that good start?
Yeah, it's so important. We've talked about this, the last 3 years in our preparation, that this first game will really dictate how we go in this tournament, and everything we've been talking about is this first opening game and those 3 points. So now that we've checked that first game off, got out of all the nerves, I think we're really going to hit the ground running next game.
And the elephant in the room, it wasn't the most ideal preparation with your captain being out. Can you tell us what that was like for the team and how you were able to refocus and get the job done?
Yeah, it was obviously heartbreaking for Sam personally, and I guess for us, obviously also heartbroken. But we know that she was with us throughout the whole 90 minutes, and we played for her, we won for her, and we know that she'll be back with us soon.
And you've seen the team rally around you when you had a serious injury. This one's not as serious, but what's that like to have that teammate support when you really need it?
Yeah, I think being in a team environment, everyone gets around each other, and during the hard times and the good times as well. So being there no matter what, and we're all there for her, and like she's always there for us during times. So this is the most important time. We all rally around her, and we know that she'll get herself right to come help us in the later stages.
After a tough physical match like that, what's key in terms of the recovery? There's 7 days between now and Australia playing Nigeria.
Yeah, it's really great that we have 7 days. Never really get that long between games in a major tournament, so we're really going to take advantage of the recovery these next 7 days and be fresh as we can be for next Thursday versus Nigeria.
How about you? How did it feel to be playing a World Cup on home soil at Stadium Australia?
Yeah, I think it was a game, but also it was an occasion. Walking out there, it was so emotional, singing the national anthem in front of so many people. Definitely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and yeah, something that I'll never forget, and yeah, it was a very proud moment.
Does it make you look at it and go, can't believe where this game's gone?
Yeah, for sure. If you think back 10 years ago, no one really knew who the Matildas were, and having 80,000 people screaming for us and millions of people watching on TV, it's a pinch yourself moment, and I'm just very grateful to be part of this team and to be a part of this World Cup on home soil.
And we'll finish today's episode across the ditch again in New Zealand, where our man on the ground, Alex Bishop, is there for us. Alex, thanks very much for staying up late. I know there's a little bit of a time difference between here in Adelaide and where you are in New Zealand, so I appreciate you staying up late to join us today.
Yeah, no problem. It's always a good one.
Yeah, you were at, let's talk about the couple of games now that we've seen in New Zealand. Of course, you were at the opening game yesterday in Auckland. It was a sad day in Auckland yesterday, given the events that transpired in the morning, the shooting. And again, we express our deepest condolences and sympathies with all of those affected by that terrible tragedy. But sadness turned into a celebration for New Zealand because they got their first ever win at a World Cup, men's or women's. So an historic day in front of a record crowd at Eden Park. You were lucky enough to be there. What was the experience like there?
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, and honestly speaking, I can't really speak too much about what the the impact of the terrible event had on the overall atmosphere at the game. But what I saw was a fan base entirely behind their nation, behind their team. It was absolutely enthralling. Everybody was out, a full mixture of people. It was family, kids, a couple of guys and girls having a drink because it was later in the evening. A very, very good vibe. And the performance on the pitch just played into that. I mean, it was a very cohesive performance from the team. The win was, before the game, you'd call it a surprise, but as the game went on, they really did kind of have control, and that just spurred the crowd on even more. The goal went in, the place erupted, and then heading out of the game, people, it really did kind of wake up the fan base here in New Zealand, which we do think of this country where football maybe not be the most popular sport, but you certainly wouldn't have thought it last night. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays into the games to come. The next one in Wellington against the Philippines. A word on the tragic event. Some of the players were actually asked about that in the mix zone after the game. Some journalists were kind of asking a few of the players, like, did that kind of encourage you to do better, to work harder as a team and this kind of thing? Was there an enhanced sense of unity? And the players that were asked simply said, now that we think about it, it's, we really didn't know what was kind of happening or how to approach the game. But, now that you say it, it did really feel that, the whole nation was united and behind the team. And that really did play out even onto to the actions on the pitch. And everybody was there, fans, players, they were all there to kind of reap the rewards. So, on to the next.
You're in New Zealand, obviously, to follow the Japanese team around. That's what you're there to do for us here at the Asian game. They've got their first game in Hamilton tomorrow. I understand you'll travel to Hamilton in the morning for that game against Zambia. On paper, it looks like a pretty straightforward, game for Japan. There's no straightforward games in international football. We saw what Zambia did against Germany recently as well with that win. We've seen other upsets, of course, New Zealand last night that you were just talking about. So there's no room for complacency for Japan in this one, is there?
Not at all. No, I think complacency, that would be a mistake. Zambia, they beat Germany 3-2 recently. But those in Japan will remember their performance at the Tokyo 2020, played in 21 Olympics. That was where I think Barbara Banda, the star striker, she scored back-to-back hat tricks, right? So 6 goals in 2 games, which isn't bad. And we've seen that replicated now against Germany, 2 times world champions. So any kind of complacency would be, there is no place at the moment for Japan. I imagine that the preparations, well, no, I don't imagine. I know that I've seen that the preparations down in Christchurch today, that's where the team is based, has been focused on defensive attributes, should we say. There will be kind of a question as to what they will do to kind of counteract the pace, the strength, and of course the technique of players like Barbara Banda, who are the spearhead of the Zambia attack. They'll probably have to play a little bit of a deeper line. They'll have to account for that, the strength that Zambia have and attack a little bit better. That's very unlike Japan. They like to play the high line, right? And then maybe they'll have some players with pace. It's reasonable to suggest that Barbara Banda and some of her teammates would have Japan beaten for pace. So they will have to kind of think about that. They will have to play a little bit more cautiously, perhaps, is the kind of words that we're hearing at the moment. So, I think they're really going to have to look at this. And the tactics might be a little bit different tomorrow in the opening game to make sure that they don't concede that goal early on. And then Zambia go ahead and just kind of sit back and defend, and Japan can struggle to kind of get through. That would be kind of quite disastrous if Japan did, fail to come away with the goods tomorrow. So they will really have to take care of how they handle this game.
And just finally, of course, we saw what happened yesterday with Australia and Sir Sam Kerr. Devastating news. Hope nothing like that happens to Japan. Hope nothing like that happens to any team in this tournament, really. You never want to see players, the star players, go down injured. So what's the latest from the Japanese team? Is there any fitness concerns over any players coming into this match? Are you expecting Futoshi Ikeda to perhaps bring any selection surprises in tomorrow's game at all?
Well, no, everybody's fit and healthy. I'm happy to say, at least coming through the channels that I normally go to. I don't think there's any injury concerns. But yeah, the personnel that who he goes with as a starting 11, that is kind of debatable, and it kind of depends on what I was just talking about, the approach to the game. If they play deep or if they play high, I think the back line, we might see some change in personnel as to what we're normally used to. One player is training individually on, it seems to be cardiovascular exercises. This is kind of when you have to, do a little bit more running perhaps. So it kind of suggests that, they are going to, at least for some parts of the game, they're going to play a little bit higher. That player is Hana Takahashi of Urawa Reds Ladies. She's been kind of working on that. We associate her with physical qualities. So it sounds like maybe if she's going to come in, there may be points in the game where Japan sit deep, which is what she'd probably be good at doing that. But if they do press up high so they can get the numbers up the other end of the pitch and play in the opponent's half, very good way to defend. If they do get caught on the break, then they're going to need the pace to get back. So that's kind of what that action kind of suggests to me. Other than that, no. I mean, I think it's just going to be business as usual. They're going to try and, they'll have the full strength, close to full strength squad out there. But there may be some changes just to kind of deal with the strength that Gambia have in attack as well.
Well, Alex, thank you very much for that. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Hopefully we're talking tomorrow night about a Japanese victory. Of course, it's a big day for Asian teams tomorrow. 3 Asian teams involved in action tomorrow. It starts off with Vietnam playing the USA in the opening game in Auckland. I think that game is, of course, followed by Zambia against Japan. And the day finishes off in Perth, right on the other side of the two countries, as China take on Denmark. But that is where we will leave things here for today on the Asian Game podcast here at the Women's World Cup. And again, all of our coverage here at the Women's World Cup is sponsored by our good friends at SMC. As I said, Alex, enjoy the game tomorrow. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow as we look back on what we hope is a great day for Asian football. Probably won't be able to review the China game, given that finishes about midnight here in Adelaide, but we'll certainly be catching up with you again, Alex, tomorrow to find out what happened with Japan and find out how Vietnam went against the USA as well. But for here on North Terrace in Adelaide, that's where we will leave things for today. Until we speak tomorrow, it's bye for now.